What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. It is time for our part 7 of the Pittsburgh Pirates MLB The Show 20 franchise. This is going to be our end of April update. We're actually on May 1st here, and as you guys may see by the player on the screen here, we did finally decide to pull the trigger on the Noah Syndergaard move that we had been talking about for a little while. So we're going to go through the record, and then I'll go to the roster and break down why we decided to finally go out and pull the trigger on this Syndergaard move and why I think it makes a little bit of sense for us. So let's look at the calendar and see how we've done so far this season. Now that I'm playing more games, I'm actually into the franchise, I'm not simulating the whole thing all the way through, and I've been doing a couple different things. So keep in mind, I'm not playing every single game. There are certain games that I will player lock. Sometimes I will just go in and quick manage some games. Sometimes I'll play games the whole way through. So I get a good variety of everything whenever I go through my franchise. I'm not playing every single one of these games. I'm not trying to make sure that I win every single one of these games. I'm okay simulating from time to time. And I don't play with all of my different players and my pitchers and everything. What I will say is that for the most part, at the beginning of the season here, whenever I had these first few wins where I got a whole bunch of wins in a row, this was me playing the game. And so I won my first series by sweeping Chicago, which is a really good way to start out the year. We got a 7-6 win, we got a 3-2 win, and a 5-4 win. All one-run wins that I believe Keone Keala got saves in all three of those for us. So that's a really good way to start out the season. And then we went on where we were playing in Cincinnati, and we got a sweep of this series as well. Actually having a couple of nice wins here, 12-4 and 5-1. We had a nice close 3-2 win. And then we went on to play Toronto, where we actually won the Toronto series as well. We won 9-1 in the first game. We had a day off. We lost our second game coming back 4-6, and then we finished out the series with a win 5-3. We went on to play Colorado, which was a really good series for us, where we drove in a lot of runs, and we had 3 wins in a row to start that series. And in the fourth game of the series, we did get a big loss to Colorado, and this was an issue for us. Chad Cole got a loss, and this is going to be a theme that you're going to be seeing, is that Chad Cole was really struggling for us this year, and he kind of continued over his poor performance from the end of last year, where we kept him on purely because he had like an 8-1 record for us, and he was playing really well. And then he started to slide at the end of the season, and he kind of cost us a little bit at the end of the season, and he was part of that losing streak at the end of the season where we lost like 10 straight games or something like that. And so I was looking to move him at this point. I know it's very early into the season to be making a trade or anything like that, but I decided to start looking into trades for him. And so at some point along the lines here, I don't know when the date was that I made the trade. It looks like it had to be right before this Colorado game. We ended up pulling the trigger to bring in Syndergaard. So we lose this last game of the series with Chad Cole, where he struggled. We went on to St. Louis to sweep them in a big way. I absolutely dominated them, 10-2, 6-1, and 11-0. So we have a good, strong grip on this division so far this year, and it's looking bright for us as we move forward. We went on to play Colorado, and as I said, we pulled the trigger on a Syndergaard trade, and I'll break that down in a moment. We split this series, winning the first game, losing a close one in the second game. Syndergaard came in with a massive performance for us, winning this game 8-0, going 8 innings and having no earned runs. We went in, lost. Oh no, that's a 3-game series. What am I talking about? We won this series. It was the Arizona series that we lost. So we lost the first 2 games, close games to Arizona, and then did manage to pull out a win in the third game. So I apologize for that mistake there, saying what I was incorrectly saying. Then we went on to play Chicago again, where we won the first 2 games pretty handedly, and then lost the third game. Had another day off, played Atlanta, swept them 3-0, and then here's where we split a series. We actually split the Dodgers, winning the first game, losing the second game, winning the third, and losing the fourth. And to wrap up the month, Cincinnati we played again. We dominated them, winning 14-3. So a really good way to finish out the month. We are sitting pretty at 25-8, which is really good for us. But the thing to note is that Milwaukee is hot on our heels. Milwaukee is still not joking around. Milwaukee is a major contender this series, or this year. The nice thing to note is that we don't have other contenders in the division this year. So the Reds are looking bad, the Cardinals are looking bad, and the Cubs, surprisingly, are looking really bad. And I've had no trouble when I've played them. And so this is something that is going to be positive for us. It's going to be a two-team race for this division between the Pirates and the Brewers. So that's what we're going to want to look out for as we move forward. Now, as you guys might know from the last video, we were looking to trade away, or we were looking to try and fix our issue where we had 3 catchers up in the majors because like I said, the Marlins drafted Cal Raleigh in the Rule 5 draft, so I wanted to bring him back into the team, and then I realized that made a problem because I had 3 catchers that I couldn't send down to the minors. So we were looking to trade him away to get something in return to a team that could use a catching prospect, and then we were also at this point looking to trade away Chad Cole because Chad Cole wasn't playing well for us. So we put them into a deal to package to send to a team, and we were looking at what offers we could get, and we actually got a couple of really interesting offers. So the Brewers offered us straight up Josh Hader for Chad Cole and Cal Raleigh. Now that one could have made sense because they don't have a lot of catching prospects. They don't have anybody, looking like they could be a true catcher threat in the future. And so we were considering that, but being that it's the Brewers, it wouldn't have made much sense to trade within the division, especially to get away one of their best players, one of their best pitchers, so we decided to not go that route. We were also offered from the Padres, Dinelson Lamet, a good starting pitcher for them. I like him quite a bit, and I heavily considered this offer, but the Astros also considered offering us starting pitchers, and they were actually offering us, if I can get to their team anytime soon, they were actually offering us Lance McCullers. And at this point, they had traded for Noah Syndergaard. And Noah Syndergaard was somewhere around like a 78, 79, maybe 80 overall player. He was like 4th in their rotation. And these guys have so many good pitching prospects, I feel like he was expendable at this point. And if they were offering me their second best player, I saw no reason why I couldn't go out and get Syndergaard because we had already talked about bringing him in from the beginning because of how he has this injury where he's shut down for the season or whatever, and he's going to need kind of a rehab type of assignment. And for us, it kind of makes sense, being the Pirates, to bring in a player like that whenever his value is low and try to make the most out of recapturing his glory. And so that's where we're at with that. Chad Cole was like a 78 when we traded him. He must be performing poorly and got sent down to the AAA. And then they also have Cal Raleigh now, but that's the only move that we've pulled so far. And like I said, most of the moves, if we make any, are going to happen closer to the trade deadline. But I'm really comfortable with where the team is sitting now. We brought Noah Syndergaard in; he's performing really well for us. We got his ERA down from it was like a 3.90, almost 4 something ERA. We got it down to 2.53, and he's now 4-1. He's got 43 strikeouts. He's playing really well for us, and I really, really like this addition. I know it's not the most realistic thing in the world, but I feel that it is somewhat realistic from the aspect of he's kind of a guy that needs to rehab his career in a way, and this would be a team that could do that, especially now that we are surging and now that the league knows that they need to be on watch for us because we made a playoff push last season. Now that we have a lot of guys that are performing well in Tyon and Keller, and we have a pitching staff to support him, I feel no pressure on Syndergaard, and I think that's kind of what he needs. That's the environment that he needs at this point, is somewhere where he's not expected to be the ace right away. We're going to kind of bring him in, and he's going to be the 4th, maybe 3rd starter in the rotation. There's not going to be a lot of pressure on him. He should get some nice matchups, and he should be able to perform well for us. So that was our big move, is bringing in Noah Syndergaard. Now, if we look at the roster, I'll show you guys how that plays out with the pitching rotation. So we've obviously got Jamison Tyon, who's really hot right now, Mitch Keller, who's hot right now, and then we have Brandon Waddell, who is also hot. With a 3.24 ERA, is a little bit, not the best in the world, and I don't know if I see Waddell as a long-term answer in our pitching rotation, but I'm liking him right now. And so he's staying in the 3rd spot because he's performing well. He's 4-1 in that spot, and we're going to leave Syndergaard in the 4th spot. He might might rotate up and down the rotation depending on how things play out, just because, like I said, I don't need there to be a lot of pressure on him. I think that that's kind of realistic, is to bring in a guy like that, put him behind Taillon, put him behind Keller. Those are the stars of the rotation, and the pressure can be off of Syndergaard and allow him to just go out there, throw the ball, and focus on getting his stuff back. And so that's going to be really important for us. And then we have Domingo Robles down here as the 5th pitcher in the rotation, sitting as a 71 overall prospect that we've called up at the beginning of the season. I like how he's performed so far. Not the greatest pitcher in the world. He's kind of a placeholder at this point in time. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to be looking to call up some other players to fill that position eventually, but for right now, I have no issues with a guy that's only a 71 overall, having a 4.25 ERA and a 2-2 record. That's kind of what you expect out of your 5th starter, and I don't really have much issue with that. I think that he's actually performing admirably for what he is. In terms of our relief staff, Eliezer Hernandez is certainly sitting there and waiting to get his opportunity in the starting rotation. He has had a couple opportunities to actually get some playing time. You know, he's doing well for where he's at in the pitching staff, and I have no problems playing him where he's at right now. I actually really like the role that we have for him because he's so versatile. If you guys are familiar with me in my Pirates franchises or my MLB franchise, you guys know that I like to have a guy like this, a guy that is the long reliever but can also just pitch out of the middle of the bullpen. He can also come in and give us a start if we need him to, and he's just super reliable. I love having a guy like this. Last year it was Jose Urena. This year it's Eliezer Hernandez. I have no problems with him, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of him so far. In terms of the rest of the bullpen, what ended up happening is because we sent Cal Raleigh away, it allowed us to finally call up another bullpen arm, and so Hunter Harvey is up for us in the bullpen, and hopefully we can get some results out of him. He is a young pitcher, only 26 years old with A potential. Hopefully he can progress. I'm expecting him to kind of be a Peter Fairbanks type of player. If you guys remember last season, we brought him up as like a low 60, maybe 50 something overall player, and he's turned into a really strong bullpen arm for us. So I'm hoping we can get the same type of results out of Peter Fairbanks now that there's not going to be a lot of pressure on him for him to be kind of a low end rotation bullpen guy. Robert Gesellman is up, doing decently. I'd like to see a little bit more out of him, but he hasn't had that many innings to pitch. We've been leaning on guys like Peter Fairbanks, obviously guys like Archie Bradley and stuff like that. Peter Fairbanks doing a really good job, probably one of our best bullpen arms right now. Nick Birdie is up, not doing too bad. I'd like to see a little bit better performance out of him, being that he was an all-star last season down in the minors. But he throws really good heat. He's got 91 velocity. We'll see what we can continue to get out of him. Archie Bradley and Scott Foster have been very good for us. So, I have gas right now, burping a lot. Archie Bradley and Scott Foster are doing really well as setup men for us. And Keone Kela, absolutely no surprise whatsoever that he is just dominating at this point, following up his really strong performance last season and in the playoffs, where he got a major boost to his ratings and his overall and his development because of the fact that he performed so well. So he's up to a 90 overall with A potential, looking really, really good for us. A .66 ERA. He's got a ton of saves. Let me see if I can find his stats. So he's got 13 saves already on the season, which is just absurd for where we're at after essentially a month. Last season followed up a 45 save season. He had 3 blown saves last year, so there is actually a stat category for that. I was wondering that in a couple past videos if there was a stat for that, and I couldn't find it. And so there we go. So hopefully he can follow it up with a really nice performance again this year. That's where we stand in terms of our pitching rotation and our bullpen. Now let's look at the lineup and how everybody's performing here. Kevin Newman continuing his really strong performance from last season. He's up to a 91 with A potential. He's got 328 batting average and 4 home runs, so I can't complain there. Colin Moran is coming back off of a slight injury that he sustained at the beginning of the season, batting 287, 7 home runs, and 19 RBIs. I had talked about in multiple videos moving on from Colin Moran, but I just play so well with him that I can't find a way to move on from him yet. I could certainly get a really good return for him right now, but I don't see a reason to. I don't feel like there's any specific part of our team now that we've done a lot to manage things I don't feel like there's any specific part that I need to improve upon, and so I don't see a reason to trade away Colin Moran just yet. I'm going to be hanging on to him because I really like him as my DH. I really like him as a bench bat, and I'm getting the most out of him, and I see no issues to not continue to do that. Brian Reynolds is technically a little bit of a slump, batting .288, but really that's not that bad. I mean, that's pretty good for what he is. He's got 7 home runs on the season, and that's something that you guys will see is the power numbers for this team are really popping right now. 7 home runs already for Reynolds, 7 for Moran, 4 for Newman. That's looking really good. We've got 8 for Josh Bell with a .294 average. He's really hot right now, doing really well. O'Neal Cruz has performed decently well for us. You can see his power numbers are coming out a little bit with 4 home runs. We're going to focus on getting his batting average up. He's batting .208, which isn't the best right now, not very good at all, honestly, but we're going to continue to pound away and try to get his numbers up. JJ Bleday has been an absolute superstar for us so far. It's looking like he's going to be maybe the centerfold of this rebuild that we've done here, or focus point, center point, I don't know what I'm talking about, but he's a 83 overall with A potential. He's batting .336 with 11 home runs, which I believe leads the team. Performing absolutely out of his mind. Great fielder, great bat. Hopefully he continues to develop as he has. Ke'Bryan Hayes is up and doing really well at third base. His defensive presence is it cannot be understated. The fact that he is such a good defender helps us out tremendously, and it helps out our pitching staff a lot. Having that guy at third base is really good for us, and the added benefit, his bat is popping off right now. He's batting .299 with 4 home runs and 12 RBIs, so pretty much this whole team is hot right now. Sean Murphy is finally starting to pick it up. You guys might have seen at the beginning of the season that he wasn't doing very well. I can't remember when the last update was. It might not have been before any games were played, but a .279 average, 3 home runs, 14 RBIs, doing really well. And I hope to continue to see good progression out of him. I love the fact that he's got 91 arm strength. Hopefully he can continue to progress defensively. He's had a couple of nice throws there to second base to put people out, so we'll see what happens with that. Brandon Marsh is a little bit cold right now, so we might be looking to do something in center field to shake things up a little bit, but .250 average I'm not going to complain about when the rest of the team is doing so well. He's a decent defender, got 3 home runs on the season, 17 RBIs, so not doing too bad. Jorge Mateo is somebody that I like to see what I'm seeing out of him as a platoon type of player. Good speed, getting on base quite a bit with a .283 average. He's got a couple of home runs, which is surprising for a guy that doesn't have a lot of power. Cole Tucker, we need to find ways to get him batting better. I haven't used him a whole lot. As you can see, he's only had 47 at-bats, and personally speaking, when I've actually played, I haven't usered him. I'm really good with him. So I think what the strategy to be as we move forward is to get him into the lineup when I actually play games, because then I can get his batting average up because I'm good with him, and we'll see what happens with that as we move forward. Jason Martin performing admirably as a center fielder, and then Dalton Varsho actually doing a decent job as a platoon player as well as our second catcher. So that's where everything's standing in terms of our record. That's where everything's standing in terms of our lineup and our pitching rotation. There's not much more to update you on at this point in the season. The actual draft happens on June 6th or so after this point I'll get you guys another update. Maybe at the end of June I can update you on all my draft picks and everything, see if there's any moves that have gone down to that point, and we'll get you guys ready for the rest of the season at that point. One thing that I will note is I have heavily considered bringing in Howie Kendrick as a bench bat. I don't really know how I could factor him in at this point. It would be kind of questionable to see if I could do that or not, but a guy that has 91 contact and 94 contact on right and left respectively could really help us out. I don't feel like I need him at this point, but it's just somebody that could really bolster us. I don't think it would be all that realistic to bring him in, so I'm really leaning towards not bringing him in, but if it's something that you guys want to see, let me know in the comment section and we'll try to bring in a guy like that. That's pretty much all we have. We do have a couple league leaders, as you guys can see on this screen, with pitching wins. Tyon's up there, Waddell's up there, Keone Kela leads in saves. Bleday is second in home runs. Josh Bell is third in RBIs, and Mitch Keller is third in earned run average. So we do have some guys competing for stuff there, and that is where we're at. Like I said, not a lot of moves up to this point, kind of a short update, but one move that has been really important for us, and I've been waiting to make for a while, and I finally found the right opportunity to do it, was bringing in Syndergaard, and I can't wait to see what this pitching staff does as we move forward. If you guys enjoyed, if you guys want to see more of this franchise, if you guys want to see more gameplay, whatever it might be, let me know down in the comment section below. Let me know by leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys have a good day and stay safe out there.